Welcome, it's Ingrid Carlsen with Care 2D, and today I have this mess of a journal to share with you. If you like Shakespearean comedies, more like tragedies, then you'll love this album. It is, in the words of Leslie from 507 Willow House, a hot mess. But I promised that I would do the video for you. I'm not even sure if I love it. I hate it. I don't know, but I'm putting it out there and you can try it for yourself if you feel adventurous. The first thing I did was collected 2 file folders, and I believe I used a middle and a left tab, but it's up to you which ones you want to use. I'm going to cut them down, and I played with this a few times. I cut it down and then decided to cut it down a little more. What I ended up with was a piece that measured 5 inches to the bottom of the edge there, as you can see. I wanted the finished product to have the tabs where they are cascading, and so what I did was I just eyeballed a measurement, marked it on the back, and cut it. This time it's a little different. It's going to be 4 inches in width, but it's going to be to the top of the tab, as you will see here. So that I didn't get anything confused, I went ahead and clipped it into place, and I suggest if you do try to make one of these, you do the same thing. Originally, I had pulled out 3 file folders, but ended up only using the 2. On the third one, I'm going to use the part where it's got notches for the tabs, and I am going to make them an interactive piece in the back cover, one that flips up and one that flips down. If you're using my measurements, I believe that it ended up being about just shy of 4.5 inches in width. But the main thing that you want to do is measure it against your back cover, and you want to make sure that there's ample room on both of the sides so that when you close your book, it doesn't rub up against the edges. One of the things that I want to stress with this is make sure that you're keeping all of your pages together in the order that you want them, because with all the pieces, it's kind of hard to tell where they go. I'm also going to label one front, and I actually just do one F, one B. And this not only shows me which one it is, but also what direction using the writing to tell. When you're doing this on your own, you're going to want to write very lightly. That way, if you end up using copy paper or even the newsprint paper, you're not going to want to see your writing through the paper. Another option is you can use stickies and then just remove them, but it's kind of wasteful to do that. If you feel more comfortable though, you can do that. I used it for some of them. Towards the end, I ripped the stickies like in half and used them like that until I lost them somewhere on my desk. And so that didn't work. But I used that when I had already covered it with paper so that I wouldn't be writing on the pattern paper. to cut some time off the video, I went ahead and covered the front and back of all the tabs with pattern paper off camera. Here I am showing you the original mock-up for the accordion fold, which measures 5.5 inches in width and 7.5 inches in length. I was trying to use up all of the pieces from the file folder since it is a sturdy base, but I didn't have one that was wide enough. So I'm taking 2 pieces and I am going to use them together and glue them together, as you're going to see in the video. The problem was I made a mistake and thought that I didn't need to have all of the folds that I have here, and I ended up cutting it too much, and I'm going to have to join it at the end, which you're going to see. So originally I had the 2 pieces and I'm going to score them at 1/2 inch, every 1/2 inch on both pieces. As I am getting closer to doing it, I thought, no, I don't need all of those folds. So I cut the paper, and then I end up having, and you see me writing it down. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure my math is right. The first time was wrong. That's what creative Ingrid does. She second guesses the analytical Ingrid, and analytical Ingrid was right. Anyways, so I'm going to have to end up gluing those pieces and joining them back together. And so it's okay, it worked out. What I am going to suggest though is, if I had to do it again, what I would do is cover the piece that you have that's 5.5 by 7.5. I would cover it with the pattern paper first, and then I would score the lines. I did it backwards, of course, but it worked out. It was a little harder because I had to mess with it. It was a little finicky on me. And you're going to see here why I have issues with trusting measurements. I actually took the time, because I was doing a tutorial, I wanted to make sure to give you guys measurements. I took the time to measure the other piece again, even though I already knew the measurement. I measured that piece of paper. You see me mark on the back of the paper, and then here, why did I cut right there? It's a lot longer than that. And that's when I realized, like, oh no, what did you do? So I'm going to just make it up. I'm going to glue down the bottom piece and then match it up as best as I can. It does have a seam, but it's okay. We like the shabby look, right? I kind of feel sorry for that Ingrid of the past that was doing this, because she was trying to skip a corner and trying to not have to cover the inside because it wouldn't be seen. It would be seen, and you're going to see the mess that I have when I'm going to cover the back of it with pattern paper. And so go ahead and do yourself a favor and cover both sides with the pattern paper. Here I am using my double-sided adhesive to lay my first flap down. I found that the best way to do this was actually to have it sitting straight up, pinch it, and then put it down and burnish it down. My original design for the book would be that the cover sat on one of the folds, and then there would be a 1/2 inch, and then the next 2 would get glued together, and there would be a 1/2 inch between the first cover and the second cover, or the first tab and the second tab. I messed this up, and I ended up, and that's where my measurements went wrong, is I added 1 inch between them, and that's why at the end I have such a big binding. But I went ahead and left it because my thought was maybe I will add a bunch of chunky stuff and I'll need that inch binding. I don't think so. So if you want to, you don't have to. What I did here to put the little, we call them mountains and valleys. And so what you're going to do is you're going to put a piece of, I think double-sided tape works the best. You can use a wet glue, but you're going to want to hold your pieces together. You're going to take two little mountains and then squeeze them together. So in the case of this book, what I did was the first half an inch fold went to the first cover. Then I counted two of the half inch, so half inch and then another half inch, which makes an inch. Then that stayed flat. Then the next two got pinched together so that it would be four of them that got pinched together. So it'd be half an inch up, half an inch down, half an inch up, half an inch down. Does that make sense? It's like two little mountains and they get pinched together. And that's where you're going to put your tabs. And I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of questions, so put them down below and I'll try to walk you through it as best as I can. Poor past Ingrid. I wish I could go back and just give her a little tiny shake. I thought that I would not need to cover the inside of the folds because they weren't going to show, but I did, and painstakingly had to maneuver paper around these folds that I had already made to try to cover them up. So, like I said, just make sure that you cover both sides ahead of time. At this point, I realized that my binding wasn't going to be long enough, so I ended up having to use this extension piece. At the end, I'm going to cut strips that measure half an inch so that I can cover any of the binding. The good part about this, though, is that it gave a good grip to the back cover, and so if you did want to extend your piece, you could. Nanda's papers are so pretty, and I wanted to make sure not to waste any. The good part about making a book this size is that you can use a lot of smaller pieces, and so I'm just going to do a little skinny, kind of little mini journal in between each of the tabs, and we're going to sew them in. I think that I used 3 pages on each one. At this point in the video, I'm wondering what kind of music I'm going to overlay on this video. If it's going to be something manic, like a circus theme, or if I'm going to add some classical music to calm your nerves as you are watching this show of mine. when I usually do my binding, I make a template to make it easier to find out where the holes are going to be. I just took a piece of cardstock that was on my desk and I kind of just guesstimated where the middle was, and then I went up a couple of inches and then kind of tried to do the same on the bottom piece. And taking an owl or any kind of pokey tool, I'm going to make the holes. Then I'm going to line it up inside of the journal where I want signatures to go. I first took my template and made holes on my actual binding so that it would make it easier when I was actually trying to bind it with the needle and thread. I start off in the middle and I come from the inside of the book out to the outside of the cover. Then I go through my top hole, or in this case, the right hand side, and then go all the way across to the left hole or the bottom hole, and then back in through the middle hole, and then just tie a double or triple knot just to make it more secure. The last thing that needs to get done is the flip up and flip downs that are on the back cover. And so I'm just taking a little piece of the file folder and covering it with the pattern paper. The measurement doesn't matter as long as it's inside of the width of the pieces that you're folding out. I'm going to fold it in half and attach the bottom piece to the back of the cover, and then fold it over onto the flap like you're seeing there with the music paper. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the top piece and just first glue it down to the back, then glue the flat piece to it and make sure that there's enough space for it to close all the way when you're closing your journal. If you got through this point of the video, then you deserve a gold star. And if you decide to make one of these journals, then you deserve 3 gold stars. Anyways, here is the flip through of the journal. I think that once it's done, I'm going to like it more, and once add some seam binding or ribbon for the closure, that it's going to look cute up on my shelf. Thank you guys so much for watching and for all of your lovely comments, and I will see you soon.